that the Utah Jazz are, open for business or at least taking calls on their veterans, including Mike Conley, Malik Beasley, Jordan Clarkson. So should the Jazz be buyers or sellers right now?
Yeah, I think for the Utah Jazz, like I think should they be buyers or sellers? I mean, obviously, I think you need to be whatever it is you need to be to build this roster, and yeah, obviously some of that is going to be selling. I think some of that is going to be, excuse me, making adjustments and doing what you need to do to create a roster that can win in the playoffs. Because I think what you're seeing now is you're winning a lot of games through, work hard and hustle and and just kind of getting to spots before the other team does. And you're also making plays in the offensive end. But it does beg the question, like in a playoff series, a 7-gamer, what does this team look like? Because I do think you have to ask that question. And I do like what this team looks like against the Dallas Mavericks. I have to be honest with you. I do like what they look like against other teams. So I don't know that I'd be, just right off the top being like, yeah, we're going to trade Vando and Beasley and Mike and everybody. I wouldn't be in that kind of mindset. But I think that, yeah, you absolutely should be on the phone. I think you absolutely should be exploring your opportunities, and I think you have to see, because that's the trouble. You don't know what exactly people are willing to offer you. So that's why I think you have to take the call. You're not taking the call because you're just like, yeah, we got to trade Mike or we got to trade Malik. You're taking the call because you want to see what opportunities are out there. So are they buyers or sellers? Yeah, I think they're going to do some selling, but don't be surprised if within that selling they add some guys that can really help them.
Yeah, I think that I wouldn't trade Jared Vanderbilt, in my opinion. I think he's too young. He's too raw. There's too much upside there. But, I would absolutely trade Jordan Clarkson. There's a lot of people who I saw on Twitter yesterday saying Jordan Clarkson should be a Jazz man for life, to which I say that's a bunch of hooey. I mean, if you can leverage Jordan Clarkson for first-round picks, you make that deal every day. I don't think there is such thing in this league anymore as Jazz man for life, like a one-franchise guy. I mean, I guess Steph Curry and Devin Booker are the closest things to that anymore. But I would not hesitate to trade Jordan. I would not hesitate to trade really any veteran on this team. I'm probably not trading Walker Kessler. I'm probably not trading, again, I personally would not trade Jared Vanderbilt, but any veteran on this team, absolutely. Rudy Gay, Mike Conley, Jordan Clarkson, absolutely. I'm open for business on those guys.
Yeah, I think the tough part is that, Clarkson is showing this willingness to pass. Like, I know that sounds kind of crazy, but he's showing this willingness to kind of change his game a little bit, or not even really change his game, but just kind of add to it. I think Jordan has always been that guy where it's like, all right, you pass Jordan Clarkson the ball, it's not coming back to you. He's going to take that shot. And I think now that he's figured out that he can drive and kick and he can find open guys and make plays and be that guy for this team, it ups his value. Like, there's no getting around that. Like, it used to be that Jordan Clarkson was the guy you'd bring off the bench, and I still maintain that that's probably his role on a championship team. Like, if you put Jordan Clarkson on the Warriors, let's say, well, he's not going to start for the Warriors, obviously. He would be a 6-man scoring option coming off the bench. But I think every time that he comes out and starts for this Utah Jazz team and shows a willingness to pass and shows an ability to play within a system, his value goes up. So, yeah, I do think you have to take calls on him. I do think you have to consider moving him. But the last thing I think this team can do, because you've already, won a good share of games right out of the gate here, is make trades and become a worse team, because then you're going to find yourself in the middle. And that's what I think people are worried about, is like, hey, you've won, enough games where you're already behind the pace to be one of the worst teams in the league, right? You're ahead of that, if you will. Like, you've won too much to be one of the worst teams. So now if you go and trade all these guys and you lose a bunch of games, you're still not going to get the draft position that you want. That's what I think people are worried about.
Yeah, and I just don't. I guess I just view it differently. I think that all these guys are assets. I mean, it's that simple. You're not championship good now. As much as we've enjoyed this season starting like this, and you're 10 games in and everything's great. Like, you're not a championship contending team right now. So nobody on your roster is really somebody that should be the end of the world. And I just think if you're the Utah Jazz, you should be open for business on everybody with some very minor exceptions. I think that you're closer than you thought you would be at this point to contention. So I would be, again, telling you, hey, that's cool. Let's knock this thing out of the park. Okay, make trades, get more assets. If you can get a better player and upgrade, I'm all for that as well. But, hey, collect your assets and let the suckers be sold, right? Trade those picks, get superstars in the summer. Do what you have to do around the draft to make this team a contender. But I'm telling you now, if you're emotional about Jordan Clarkson, you're in the wrong spot, because that's not a guy you should be emotional about. This is a business, man, and Jordan Clarkson has value, and if you can get value for him, I would trade him.
Yeah.
It really is that simple.
Yeah, and I don't think you're wrong for that. And I think that, I guess at the end of the day, because you're not a championship caliber team right now, you have to be open to all things. I have to be honest. The Bojan trade, does that not bring some hesitancy around what future trades might be? Because it seemed like there are some people who would tell you that, like, the Bojan trade was just Danny spiting the Lakers. Like, hey, I don't want to give you Bogdanovich for, basically one pick, so I'm going to trade him for nothing to the Pistons.
But I'm telling you, the Lakers and the Jazz are still talking. The Lakers and the Jazz are still talking, and I think the Lakers realize they have to do something, and it's not normal that you would do something in October. But I think the end of the month, early December, you could see trades start happening. I am as convinced now as I've been all summer long. The Jazz and the Lakers are going to make a significant deal. It's just a matter of who's going to come to the middle and make that trade happen. Now, are the Jazz going to acquire Russell Westbrook? Probably not. But my guess is that in some form or fashion that happens. And when you talk about Jordan Clarkson, the Lakers are absolutely a destination for Jordan Clarkson. That the Lakers would love to have him back. And look, I know that's probably frustrating to some Jazz fans, but this is a process you're in now. So we'll see about that. Let's get some of your thoughts in here. Kenai Johnson says, top of the morning, fellas. Why not keep the team we have and then use our picks to trade for players? Because I think picks are not enough to get you players. And you need, my guess is that you'd want to leverage the picks you have to get a superstar. And I think you would want to improve that, but that's just my opinion. That's just me. BB says, I want them to trade the older guys, but only if they, one, are not making the young guys better or are taking minutes from young guys developing on the floor. You don't develop on the bench never playing. Well, that's true, but who on that bench right now isn't getting enough minutes?
Yeah, I don't know that there's a guy that's not getting enough minutes. I think
there's no Jared Butler this year.
Yeah, I think people I think Walker Kessler's getting a fair amount of minutes. I think that there's a select group of fans in Jazz Nation that want a guy like Azubuike to get more minutes, and it's like, well, that's cool, but Azubuike hasn't really earned more minutes, and I think that Walker Kessler has shown you value. Straight up, has shown you value. So I guess I'm not saying you're wrong, but I am saying that there's not a guy on that bench right now that's not getting minutes that deserves them.
Brett Robbins says, today I woke up and had a good feeling you guys were not going to wear black.
Well, I don't know what to tell you. It's the brand.
Sorry
of the
to
show.
Disappoint you.
I did wear a white polo shirt today, so if that counts.
BB says, if I win, I would be the only sponsor of the Monty Show.
Well,
there's something to that. San Diego State Aztec says, good morning, folks. Suns win and Cam Johnson on fire with 7 threes. Look, I can only espouse the greatness of the Phoenix Suns so often. And I can only tell you that Devin Booker, the sex machine, 2-3 combo guard last night against your Minnesota Timberwolves.
Right, my Minnesota Timberwolves.
Had 18 points on 2 of 7 shooting from 3. Not a great night. But Cam was on fire. 7 of 11 from 3.
I'm for real.
Again, though, another awkward night for Rudy Gobert. 32 minutes, 7 points, 9 rebounds.
Come on, let's go, Schleprock.
Like, what's going on? I'm telling you, that situation with the T-Wolves is awkward.
It's just unchanged. Rudy, and this is what was so amazing to me about what Danny did in this deal. Like, it's not like Rudy Gobert is going to wake up and all of a sudden be this dynamic offensive force that is a true number two to hello.
Oh, is that you? Sorry.
Hello. Hi. Yeah, it's not like Rudy's going to wake up and be some crazy, dynamic force offensively. And this is exactly what you saw when he was with the Jazz. Like, again, it takes a bad night of shooting for Rudy to put up numbers. And we've been saying that on this show for 2 years, man. And it just continues to play itself out. And the bigger impact, I feel like, is not even just the stat sheet. I think, Rudy Gobert is obviously being paid a ton of money. And that when you get paid a ton of money in the league, like, you got to be an offensive player. It's not good enough anymore to just be this guy that runs up and down the floor and rebounds a little bit. Because that, on a lot of nights, is what Rudy is. Like, he may deflect some guys. He may alter some shots and do some things that don't show up in a stat sheet. But he's never going to be, 30, 10, and 10.
Well, he put up 7 points on 7 of 7 free throw shooting. 0 of 1. He took 1 shot last night.
Yeah.
But again, what have we been talking about on this show? It's awkward with Rudy and Karl Anthony Towns. Cat had 24 points last night, 18 shots, 3 of 3 from the stripe, 3 of 7 from 3, 10 boards, 7 assists. Like, filled up the stat sheet.
Yeah.
Like, I'm just telling you, unloading Rudy Gobert was one of the biggest wins in the history of the Utah Jazz.
Yeah,
moving that contract.
Right,
yes,
totally the right decision. Totally, what you needed to do for a variety of reasons. Now, the Donovan thing, I don't love. I'm hoping that in the long term it works out. But the Rudy thing, I think, was a no-brainer.
Jesus Christ Destroys Marxism is on some run about how Adrian Wojnarowski and others who were reputable have constantly said the Jazz are super reluctant. I don't think I've ever heard Adrian Wojnarowski say super reluctant.
About what?
Trading Jordan Clarkson, I think. He's just like rolling. Monty's absolutely wrong on this subject. Watch and see. Danny isn't stupid, especially with the chemistry they're building. Will Hardy has used 56 different lineups already. He hasn't coached 56 games. That's been well documented. Okay, cool. That's awesome. Okay, we'll see. Brett Robbins says Booker over Lillard. Yes, I would take age alone. I would take Devin Booker over Damian Lillard. Justin Salas says Clarkson can go in my books. The only untouchable right now would be Lauri, but that could change in the future. But even Lauri Markkanen, why is he banged around so much? Why has he moved teams so much? Well, because he's not that guy. He is a good player. He's not a great player. He's not an elite player. He is a guy that you can replace. And I think, hey, look, if he's your best player, you're probably not winning a championship.
Yeah.
If he's your second or third option, you're probably a pretty good team. I think, and that my opinion is unchanged. I think this team needs a superstar. That's all this team is waiting for. They need a superstar. And once that's acquired or emerges, I think you're going to see a very different team. Thamor says, I'm expecting the Nets exploding their team this season. So you think the Nets are going to blow it up? Okay. That works.
Man.
That works. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know, dude.
Brandon Whiteside says, about time you board the tank. I do not advocate for this team tanking in any way, shape, or form. And they're not.
Yeah, and that's not what we're saying.
No, not at all. Gage says, what about trading Mike and Malik to the Pacers for Miles Turner? I thought it was interesting the other day that Miles Turner went out of his way to say the Lakers should trade for him. Isn't that tampering?
Hey, guys.
Now, obviously, players can't get nailed for tampering, but he essentially said why the Lakers haven't made this trade, I don't know.
Yeah.
I think that's interesting. Eric Chiang says Simone Fontecchio needs more minutes. Azubuike is a bust and should be cut. Oh, he's injured. Yeah, Azubuike he's not an NBA body, though. Like, he isn't athletic enough. He's not,
Yeah.
he's not that guy.
Yeah, and I think as far as Fontecchio is concerned, I look at him and I say he's probably, 15 minutes a night. You're hoping for 4 threes out of him, in his minutes. Like that's what you're looking for. So I don't know. I mean, I know he hasn't obviously played a ton of games yet, but I think that he's working his way in.
Yep. Salty Drunk is upset that Patty Mills only played 10 minutes last night, Jake.
Uh-huh.
He says that the Nets are a mess and they should be playing Patty Mills. Please. Patty Mills is 73 years old, I think. Patty Mills is a role player. Are you really upset about Patty Mills playing 10 minutes, going 2 of 4 from 3 and scoring 9 points?
Yeah, I mean, I think that Patty has a role on the team, and I think the reason they brought him back is because he's a glue guy in the locker room, and I think that he's somebody that Kevin Durant really likes and wants to play with, and wants around, and I think you can't get. All jokes aside, I don't know. Like I can look up Patty Mills' age. I obviously he's in his 30s. I just don't know.
He's 79 years old.
He's 34 years old. I mean,
Jake, he's 79 years old.
He's probably an AARP member at this point. He's probably got a walker, and he's living life.
He's 59 years old. I mean,
Yeah.
NY Monty fan says, we kind of need someone to be in a situation that makes them willing to give up a superstar for picks. The issue is, A, is anyone in that situation? B, is there anyone who would be we would be interested in? Not particularly. I mean, at this point, it's far too early. I mean, but who's the contender that's falling apart? Well, I mean, the Lakers, but they don't have anything you'd be interested in. I don't know. I mean, I just think it's too early to know who's what.
Yeah.
You're 10 games into the season, really. So, it'll be interesting to see how that works out. Kenai Johnson says, okay, so then put everyone up, maybe except Lauri. He has been a beast all year so far, a real all-around player that you need in this league. Yeah, I mean, he would not be the first guy I would trade.
No.
Lauri Markkanen.
And I think if we're having a discussion about like the totem pole of like willingness on who you'd want to trade, I look at, I think Mike Conley this year has more value than he did last year for this team. I think he gets him into their offense. He obviously is mentoring Colin Sexton. He's got more value to this team this year than he did last year. So he's probably not high on the priority list to trade. His money feels a little more valuable right now. I look at, you look at a Malik Beasley. He's the guy that's going to be valuable to other contenders and other teams. He's the guy that I would think you'd be getting calls about. And unfortunately, I think that's a conversation you have to have because he's not somebody that's going to be here when you win a championship. And if you can get a pick or if you can get a pick and a player for him, I think you have to humor that conversation. Do I want to trade him? No. But I think that you can't be loyal to certain guys in the situation that you're in. You have to be dedicated to just kind of going through the process and building a championship team. And I would guess Danny's got a whole plan and a whole, he's got an idea of what he wants to do. So I'm sure he's got a totem pole of guys that he'd be willing to get rid of too. So that's what I'm saying. I just think that there's a plan. And I think that Danny knows what direction he'd like to go. And we're going to talk about the Nets situation a little later in the show. But I think that Nets situation obviously is going to impact a lot of what the league does, depending on just how sideways that goes.
Yeah, I don't know. You need to stop moving around. It makes the adjustment of the camera much more difficult.
Sorry.
You need to not move. Stay right there.
Yeah, sorry.
My
bad.
Jerk. The biggest stories in sports this morning presented by Quick Quack Car Wash. Our good friends at Quick Quack Car Wash. I'm telling you, man, the storm that's going to roll in here in the next 2 days, it is so windy this morning.
So I was thinking to myself walking into the building. Today was one of those days where I was like,
why did we get out of bed?
Why are we not cocooned in bed right now?
Oh, man.
So, and again, there's the cold or whatever we're calling this, going around the Casa de Monte.
No, that you gave us.
Right.
The cold.
I'm going to get medieval on your
And
ass.
it's not even a cold. It is a middle of the night cough that you gave us.
Okay, well, I didn't do any coughing in the middle of the night when I had it, so I don't know.
Oh, now you're pronouncing yourself over it.
Well, I'm never over anything, clearly. But,
Yeah, clearly.
I mean, I the cough thing didn't happen to me in the middle of the night.
Dude, it has been brutal. But you know how you get rid of it? You go to Quack Car Wash and have them wash it off of you. Much like the dirt, grime, salt, dust from all this wind. Was just there the other day. I generally get my car washed at least once a week. I have a wash pass at Quick Quack. I always get the top tier. And by the way, at the Quick Quack Car Wash in South Jordan, starting November 16th, you can get their top tier wash for free at the Quick Quack in South Jordan at the district. That's their grand opening. They're opening now. I go there. It's right by my house. So yes, the Quick Quack in the district is open, but their grand opening celebration starts November 16th. First 100 people through the wash get a gift bag. They're giving away their top tier wash, like all this great stuff at Quick Quack Car Wash. Bring the kids. And the best part about bringing the kids is it's fast. You're there maybe 5 minutes, and that's if they're busy. They were busy over the weekend when I was there, and it was about 5 minutes to get through the line. So even when it's busy, it's fast. But they have all the lights and all the soap suds, and it's really a fun experience. At Quick Quack Car Wash, they bring you the biggest stories in sports. Coming up in 25 minutes, we have a crazy NFL trade deadline finally. But this Ime Udoka situation in Boston and Brooklyn, I think, is one of the biggest stories in sports. There are reports from Adrian Wojnarowski.
Right.
I can't remember what atheism destroys the world said about Adrian. But my point is, Adrian Wojnarowski reporting that Ime Udoka will be hired as the next head coach of the Nets.
Mm-hmm.
What was your thought on that?
I mean, my thought is that the Brooklyn Nets are turning into an organization that just seemingly doesn't care about, public perception on any level. Like I like when you look at, so if you set the Udoka thing aside for a second, you look at just Kyrie Irving, and now I'm not even talking about just this anti-Semitic tweet stuff that he just went through. I'm talking about, the pandemic stuff, the way that all kind of went down, like just Kyrie as a guy off the floor, who we all know to be, different in how he goes about it. Like, you're willing to have that guy in your organization and on your team. And I understand the guy is one of the greatest players the league's ever seen. Like, I don't think anyone disputes that, but I'm not sure that outweighs how bad of a look it is to have the guy on your team. And so when you look at how they handle Kyrie Irving, that was one thing because that was a player. It's like, all right, well, hey, he brings a lot of value on the floor. Okay, fine, great, we'll deal with it. The Ime Udoka situation to me is completely different. This is someone who is a leader in your organization. This is someone who is your head coach, so he's going to be in the public eye every single night. He's not someone that can hide out in the front office. Like this is different. Like, you are willing to accept whatever he did in Boston. And obviously there are multiple reports. Woj was saying yesterday that he, repeatedly inappropriately texted female staff members. I totally agree with all the people on Twitter saying, if you're a female employee in Brooklyn's organization, how must you feel today? Totally agree with that sentiment. I can't, it's just unbelievable to me that you would go and sign this guy. And I think it continues this sort of narrative that Brooklyn just does not care or has no empathy to how it looks.
Yeah, I think my biggest problem with it is we, again, have to have a conversation about when does being a good human being matter? At what point does being a good human being matter? You know who Ime Udoka is. Now, from what I understand, the Nets did extensive research on that situation as to why he was suspended by the Celtics. And remember, he was suspended by the Celtics, not the NBA. So he is allowed to work if he gets hired. And the Boston Celtics essentially let him go for free, according to reports. It's shocking to me that we are less than a month from this, and the Brooklyn Nets are going to hire Ime Udoka. Like, I just cannot fathom that. And at some point, you being a guy that, and the reports out of Boston are that Ime Udoka had an extramarital affair with a female employee of the Celtics. She was married. He is engaged to his longtime girlfriend. There were other reports that he used heinous language towards women. Like, this is bad. And that the Nets are willing to hire this guy, and I don't care that he used to work for them. At some point, morals have to matter. At some point, being a good person has to matter. At some point, your past history of, sexual indiscretions has to matter. But apparently in Brooklyn, it doesn't. And you can hire guys like Kyrie Irving to be a player on your team, which I guess is why you would hire Ime Udoka to be a head coach. I'm just shocked by it. Mm-hmm. I am shocked by it. At some point, you have to, being a decent human being has to matter.
Yeah. I think being a decent human being has to matter. And I think that, that's what I'm saying. Like, usually these kind of conversations are reserved for the NFL and like the Deshaun Watson situation or, anything that's happened in the NFL over the years. But clearly now it's starting to leak into the NBA. And I just don't know. Like, it leaves, obviously we have to speculate because we don't know exactly what happened and exactly how it went down and exactly what he did. But you understand the realm in which he did whatever it is that he did. And I don't know,
That's
man.
Right.
I understand that the guy took the Boston Celtics to the NBA Finals. I understand that. And I understand that the guy is a hell of a basketball coach. There's no denying it. But I just don't know how, if you're Joe Tsai, the owner of the Brooklyn Nets, that you think adding Udoka to this mix of guys that you have already is a good idea. I don't know how that pans. I don't know how that works out in your head.
I don't know. It's just, it feels like you're just throwing more gas on a fire. Like it just makes very little sense to me. That's what I would say. San Diego State Aztec says, don't let your questioning of why you got out of bed today affect my show enjoyment. I know people best be keeping, quote, the stinger happy. I missed out on the live stream nickname fiasco yesterday.
Well, it looks like Super Soaker's in the chat, so,
Oh, is it really? Oh, come on, James Knight. James Knight, right out of the gate, once Tanner got here, said, hey, the Super Soaker's in the house.
Facts.
Be nice. Be nice. Tanner says, salty drunk you really are, James Knight. Yes, he is.
Yeah, he is.
Yes, he is.
Yeah.
There's no doubt about that. Don't think being a decent human being matters anymore in the NBA. But isn't that the perception of what this hiring means?
Yeah. I
that
mean, yeah.
you can be a complete crap bag and yet still get a job in the NBA.
Well, and I think people are like, hey, like Adam Silver, like, what are you doing about this? Like, what is, like, so I feel like in sports right now, it's cool for organizations to be like, yeah, we did an extensive investigation into these activities and it's fine. And it's like, okay, cool. I guess that's an excuse for the guy to get a job, I guess. Like, doesn't that instead say that you did an investigation, you know what the guy did, and you're okay with it? Like, that's what that says to me.
Kind of does.
And so it's like, whether you're Adam Silver, the commissioner of the league, whether you're Joe Tsai, like, I would even go as far as to say Kevin Durant. Like, Kevin Durant has the power to be like, yeah, no, we're not hiring this guy. I'm Kevin Durant. You hire that guy, I'm not playing here. So on a certain level, like, I don't know. I kind of feel like, Kevin Durant, even on some level, is endorsing this. Like, I know that that's a bit of a reach because he's not directly in control of it, but he's Kevin Durant. He, like LeBron James has the power to say, yeah, no, we're not interested in Darvin Ham. We're not interested in John Wall. We want Russell Westbrook. Right? So, like, that's why I say it's not just the ownership group in Brooklyn that is in control of this or endorsing this. And that's my biggest problem. It seems like every day that goes by is another day where I have to sit here and try to advocate for why Kevin Durant is some great human being.
Yeah.
And that's frustrating, because it's like the guy is one of the best basketball players on the planet and he's always in the middle of it. And that's like, I don't know. I guess I feel like it just doesn't need to be that way.
Yeah, interesting story breaking this morning with Amazon. That Amazon has signed Overtime Elite to a 3-year broadcast deal.
Broadcast deal?
To stream 20 games a year for Overtime Elite. And this is a big deal because so Overtime Elite essentially is one of the top youth basketball organizations in the world. And they are the company that owns them is called Nascent. And Nascent Digital Sports Network has signed this deal with Amazon, who is now an investor in Overtime Elite. So this is a really interesting...
Overtime Elite before Amazon has people like GMC and Meta and State Farm and Topps, just some other companies that are already sort of involved in it if you've never heard of Overtime Elite.
Yeah, Barry is asking me how to get in the building today.
It's not difficult.
I at least appreciate that Barry, who has in the past espoused that he hates our show.
Okay.
And I have not heard from Barry in several months.
Right.
Barry at least has taken the time to write to me this morning to say that he would like to try and get a Powerball ticket, but he lives in Cedar City.
Oh, okay. Sure.
But isn't Cedar City like
Cedar
St. George?
City's, kind of far away, isn't it?
Yeah, dude, you're not getting here by 9, Barry. You're not getting here by 9, dude. And if you're just tuning into the show this morning, we do have Powerball tickets. The Powerball jackpot's $1.2 billion. All you have to do is come by Maverick Center, pull up right in front. You know the hockey statue? You just walk right up the stairs, come to the last door on the right, and Mrs. Monty is waiting for you with a Powerball ticket. That's it. She'll give you the ticket. You can hopscotch about your merry way, or come in and watch a show for a while, whatever it is you want to do.
Yeah, bro, Cedar City's 217 miles away.
Barry, I'm telling you. With all due respect, man.
I love you, my man. I really do. I really do.
You can't. You just. I
mean, unless you're in the area already. I mean, unless you
do you have a helicopter or a private jet? Yeah, exactly. Jetcopter Monty is on the way to get you. It's amazing to me what people will do for Powerball tickets.
Yeah, look, I think that, it's not often that it's $1 billion, and it's really interesting, quick sidebar on the Powerball, like, to get the $1 billion valuation, you do have to take it, what is the term, amateurized or whatever it is, where they pay you monthly? Over
a period of time to get the whole one. Yeah. But listen, the cash value, I think, is $567 million.
Damn.
I mean, I guess I could probably settle for. I'm taking the cash value.
Yeah,
I am taking the cash value.
And that apparently is what most people do, by the way.
Yeah,
take the cash value.
You're not getting here in time. Barfing Chicken says, "Pedal to the metal, man. Screw UHP. He can make it."
Straight up to 15, my
Let's
man.
go. Let's go. Justin Sal says, "Isn't Jeff Bezos an investor in Overtime Elite?" He was. He was during his time at Amazon. Interesting that Amazon, which is owned by Jeff Bezos, is still getting them a streaming contract. Yeah, I don't know if Jeffy still owns. I don't know that exact. I mean, he still owns part of the company, but he no longer is involved in the day-to-day operations of Amazon. So, that's interesting to me. Let's see. Arlington Bear says, fellas, I think I'm headed up around 8. Give me your Betos order. I'm buying. See, I mean,
dude, I love you, bro.
Pico salsa burritos, man.
Yeah, no meat, pico salsa burrito. Just, add some whole pinto beans. You know what I mean?
Jeremy Bolton says, well, good morning. Does Caruso need to make another visit this morning?
Hey, listen, dude. Dude played his ass off last night.
Yes,
he did. I don't care what the stat sheet says.
Yes, he did.
Guy was making plays.
That's what the Jazz need, a superstar and a Caruso-type player.
Yeah.
They need a guy who's just a dirty dog.
Yeah.
They need because what is Alex? Alex Caruso's a better version of Buckets O'Bench. Mm-hmm. That's what he is, a better version of Royce O'Neal. Mm-hmm. And I that's what this team needs. They need a superstar. Obviously, more than that, you need a superstar level talent.
Yeah, you need a clean-cut, cold-blooded superstar kind of guy.
Absolutely you do.
Yeah.
Absolutely you do.
Yeah.
Barfing Chicken says, cool coincidence. I just ate Betos.
What did you get? What did you get? What is your Betos
order? Yeah, what is
order?
your go-to Betos order? Because mine is Pico Salsa Burrito.
And by the way, can I just get some clarification? Is it Betos or Betos?
I think it's Betos.
Is it Betos? Okay,
yeah.
Because I've always just naturally said Betos, but it feels like Betos is more appropriate.
Yeah, Betos is what Betos. Betos.
Yeah, Betos.
Yeah,
okay.
That's what I always go with. I don't know.
Yeah.
Salty Drunk and Tanner Plummer are going back and forth. You know, Salty Drunk, every time you call me that name, you're basically implying that I got more action than you.
Attaboy, Tanner. Attaboy.
Every day somebody goes after somebody. Salty Drunk says, can we get the Super Soaker in the guest chair? Well, he's got to come by Maverick Center to get in the guest chair.
I mean, the train does come by Maverick Center. I'm just saying.
Marsing Outdoor says, why do we need that? We are winning without a superstar. No, my friend. You are, in my opinion, you are winning. You're at your max. You're not winning a championship without a superstar.
Having fun is the name of the game.
I mean, it's fun. It is absolutely fun to win. But do you want to win in the regular season or do you want to win a championship?
What's the difference, if you really are cold-blooded about it, what's the difference between this year's team and last year's team right now?
Distribution,
right? The names are a little different, right? The roster looks a little different, feels a little different. The jerseys obviously look different. New floor, little rebrand action. But when you really get down to it, this year's team may not be a 50-win team, but this year's team is probably, again, early, all things stay the same, all things are equal. This year's team could probably make the playoffs. We all agree to that. So if you go out in the first round, what really is different? What really has changed? Nothing. So that's why, because if you want to win a championship, you have to. You can't have role player starting five guy at every starting five position, because that's what you have. If we're being honest, like, you have a bunch of guys that can start in the league, but they are role players within a starting five. They do a job, and that's why I'm saying, like, you're extending Jordan Clarkson into a starting five. You're asking Lauri to put up 30 a night, right?
That's the problem.
Like, you're asking guys to go above what they normally do, and they have. They've done a great job. I don't want this to come off negative at all. They're doing a hell of a job. That's 100% true. But at the same time, the goal isn't to do a hell of a job in the regular season. It is to win a championship. You know what I mean? So that's what I'm saying. Like, I just, like, you can't be emotional about it. You just have to say, like, yeah, we got to move it along.
I think the interesting thing, and this is just for me, Mark Hale, by the way, came by. So,
yes,
Mark, good to see you.
Yes.
My thing for me is that I only compete to win championships. When we're talking about the NBA, I think it's easy to just exist. And this fan base and this organization deserves a championship. It has been far too long. You have a fan base. Look at the crowds this year, have been unbelievable at Vivint.
Mm-hmm.
They have earned the right to compete for a championship. These fans, this city, this town, this state needs a championship. And I think if the Utah Jazz, and I do believe in the next 5 years the Jazz win a championship, if the Jazz win a championship, it completely changes the complexion, the whatever that belief is about what Utah is.
Mm-hmm.
Winning a championship changes that. And it's not winning a Pac-12 championship. It's not winning, BYU winning a Big 12 championship.
Right.
You need to win a college football national championship. You need to win an NBA championship.
Yeah.
That's what this town needs. And I think the Utah Jazz are in a position to deliver that in the next 5 years.
I want it.
But you have to remove the emotional component of this.
Yeah.
That, to me, is the biggest thing with the Utah Jazz. I could be wrong, but we'll see. I don't know. There is a debate about how you pronounce Betos.
Yeah.
Justin Salas says, no, it's Betos.
It is Betos.
Baytos. Okay.
Interesting. Okay.
Jacob DeLambo says carne asada fries.
Yeah, man.
Yes.
Hell yeah.
Yes.
Hell yes.
Lorenzo Miranda says, last one you said, Jake. So it is Betos. Okay. Big Daddy Yummy Yummy will be over 34 minutes.
So now we've
go
ahead.
What was it yesterday?
Big Daddy Magic.
Big Daddy Magic is now Big Daddy Yummy Yummy. So I thought there was a bunch of women at the Jazz game who named you Big Daddy Magic.
Mm-hmm.
Why is it now Big Daddy Yummy Yummy?
Schemers trying to control their little worlds.
Okay. Joe Doe says it's Betos. Now we're going to have to get an answer on what it is.
I've always said Betos, but I'm not saying that's correct.
Mesh says, I think Vanderbilt's our dog. We just need Jalen Brown now. That's not wrong. I mean, the only thing I worry about with Vanderbilt is, can he consistently shoot the three? Because in this league right now, the way it's built, you need a guy to consistently shoot the three. But he's shown you he can make it.
Yeah, well, and I think the quality of the look that he's getting is excellent. I mean, they're creating wide open opportunities.
Yep. Tanner says, sadly, the train doesn't go by the Mav. Yeah, that's true. Your train doesn't go by the Mav. There's the
tracks.
The tracks is right
outside.
outside.
What train are you taking? I guess the bigger one.
Like
the full on.
The one that goes by Rio T.
The
front runner or whatever it's called.
Front runner.
NY Monty fan says, I agree with Mesh. Boyd Lake says Betos. Okay,
Betos. Okay.
Jake, the haircut is looking fresh. Be careful, Giselle might be sliding in your DMs. What am I just? We go and see our guy Jay Taffa over at Dave's Barbershop in Daybreak.
He is a savage.
I'm telling you need a barber. Jay Taffa is at Dave's Barbershop in Daybreak.
Worth your drive, even if you're on the other side of the valley.
So you're saying that his hair is better than my hair? That's hurtful. That is hurtful, Jerem. Whatever. Lorenzo Miranda says, carne asada fried breakfast burrito. Ooh,
yes.
Please. That would be amazing. Frank Curcio says, Jazz coach is awesome too. Will Hardy's doing a good job. Steak and egg breakfast burrito. Man.
See, now y'all are making me hungry, dude. Like,
Man.
Come on.
It's called Masturbatos, Bobby Thomas says. See what he did there? Masturbatos?
No, no, that's going over my head. I actually don't.
You're serious right now?
No, I get it.
Masturbatos.
Yeah.
You're a douche.
Yeah. Good joke.
How did you not? You didn't.
Good joke.
You really didn't get that.
Good joke.
I don't. How did you not get that? As a single guy.
Excuse
Wait.
me.
As a single guy who's not single.
Excuse me for not getting the joke.
Overt sexual reference
Yes,
to
thank
Betos.
you. Overt sexual reference. That's what I was looking for.
How did you not get that? That was a brilliant.
Yeah. Yeah. A for execution.
For a guy that strengthens his forearm like 5 times a day.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, there's a strategy.
Are you single? Are you single?
Yes.
Oh, yes. Okay, good. Lorenzo Miranda says, Lauri, a superstar. I don't care what y'all say. I'm right about this one. You'll see. I'm not saying that Lauri Markkanen's not a good second or third option. I'm not saying that. He ain't a one. Durant, Kyrie, and Simmons can't even win a game. Well, Ben Simmons didn't play last night. I guess he's got knee soreness. Kyrie Irving hit, I think, 2 shots last night. Kevin Durant's a stud. Kyrie Irving's the problem on that team.
I thought I saw something that said Kyrie had 0 points last night.
No, he did not have 0 points. He had 0 points through 3 quarters.
Oh.
And then he got 2. He got a couple of layups in the 4th.
Gotcha.
But he was terrible last night.
4 points, 6 boards, 7 assists.
Yeah, he was terrible last night.
2 of 12 and 0 of 6.
Yeah, he was.
Thanks for showing up, bro.
Awful. It's the only reason the Bulls won the game. Trust me, we're not very good.
Right,
We, the Bulls,
Yeah.
are not very good. So trust me when I say they only won because Kyrie is the problem there.
Yeah.
Like, well, I still, to this day, do not understand. And this is what I don't get. And I understand I'm a talk show host and I'm not a general manager. I don't understand. Why on earth, if you're the Brooklyn Nets, you have not traded Kyrie to the Lakers?
Yeah, I don't know.
Could Russ be worse for you?
Why on earth are you signing Ime Udoka? I don't know. You know what I mean? Like that's what I mean. Like, that's my point. Like, that's a great point. Are you really sitting here saying that for your locker room and for your organization, Russell Westbrook really is worse? Like, you're not, like, I know, look, I'm not saying that Russ is some great player right now. I agree with what you've said. The dude has a lot left in the tank, but there is something wrong right now mentally with Russell Westbrook.
Yes.
The guy, I don't care what anybody says. You don't go from hitting game winners and being one of the best point guards in the league and building and creating and curating a Hall of Fame career on some level to whatever the hell this Russell Westbrook is in a Laker uniform. You don't do that without there being issues, and that's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
Like,
I don't understand it.
I
don't understand it.
It just doesn't happen that way, and that's what I'm saying. Like, Brooklyn is a problem. Like, Joe Tsai is an issue. You know, like, I don't know. My struggle is not that I just disagree with what they're doing. My struggle is you're making mistakes. It's an obvious mistake to sign Ime Udoka. Like, that's just not
Obvious
a good
mistake.
look.
Obvious. I totally agree with you. It's an obvious mistake. Am I making too much of the Ime Udoka thing? I feel like
don't think so.
I
don't
feel
think
like
so.
it should matter. Frank Curcio. Why can I not speak today? Frank Curcio says Kyrie trying to lead. He did the same thing to LeBron when he wanted out of Cleveland. Durant is the leader. Kyrie doesn't want to be the number 2. He wants to be the 1. Yeah.
But I don't think Kyrie has the leash anymore to have issues. Like, I don't like Kyrie is a guy.
Yeah, that's
who
all
should just
over
be,
with.
like, yeah, like Kyrie's a guy who should be like, all right, I'm staying on the straight and narrow. I'm going to give you 25 a night with hopefully 8 to 10 assists, and I'm just going to play basketball.